Hey guys, it's Mason. I'm going to be going over some stuff from DLC Milwaukee today. This is my first DLC ever. I got to go, drove from St. Louis. I was in St. Louis for a work thing already, so I just drove there and then drove back home on Monday. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience, some of the takeaways from the metagame and the performances of each deck and stuff like that. So no surprise to anyone, Blurple coming in at about 30% of the field. Just the strongest deck, man. I mean, it ramps, it plays big tempo bodies before your opponent can, and then it draws a million cards and outlasts you while keeping tempo as well. So I mean, it was a great deck. Multiple people in top 16. So yeah, that's what I played, just because I had some success with it last set, and I hadn't practiced any other decks this set. So I didn't even get a competitor badge until about a week before the event. So I was scrambling, trying to figure out what to play. And I got my hands on some Dumbos. So I said, well, I have to play purple. So Blurple I thought would be better into the Amethyst Steel, which I thought would be the second biggest deck. And it was at 24.82%. Super great conversion rate into the top cut. Frank Karsten, the mastermind himself, ended up taking down the whole tournament with it. Amber Steel at 15%. The deck of choice for our child phenom prodigy, if you haven't heard about it yet, Aiden, 10-year-old. I played against his dad in Infinity, so they were just, their whole family was there kicking butt all weekend. And yeah, Aiden made it all the way to top 8 with Amber Steel, which is a good transition to Emerald Sapphire, because Aiden in top 32 knocked out my good friend Kane. Shout out to Kane for going 10-1, being the only Emerald Sapphire player to make it all the way to top 32. Only 10% of the field, and only one in top 32. But Kane, man, he's a legend. He's been playing Bleen for a few sets. He's been a Bleen believer, and he made all his beliefs worth it. They came true at DLC Milwaukee. So huge congratulations to Kane. Great player, great friend. He's really cool. Amber Emerald Dogs. Only 6% of players brought Amber Emerald Dogs, which has the potential to be like a tier 1 deck. So for a deck that strong to only have 6% of players, that just goes to show how difficult it is to operate that deck. You've got so much math and so many little lines of manipulation. You have to be able to play with 2 ink and be able to navigate that. You really don't have the opportunity to misstep when you're on such fine margins like Amber Emerald Dogs. It's got a great matchup spread, just super difficult to pilot. So I think that's why we didn't see more of it. Sapphire Steel. Okay, I really wanted to play Sapphire Steel. I've been a Harlan Sweet fan for a while, and I just love the deck. I love the idea of ramping and playing big dudes that hit really hard. I think that's really fun and really cool. I think it was not a very practiced against deck, so I don't think people were super prepping for Sapphire Steel, which I think made it a good, like, if you were going to pick an off-meta-ish deck, I think Sapphire Steel was the way to go. We also had an Emerald Steel in the top 32 with just 3% of the field. Ruby Amethyst. This is a good transition. I'm going to not talk about the rest of the decks because I don't think their presence was relevant or affected the tournament in any way. But Ruby Amethyst, this is hilarious. So I had 3 wins, okay? I got my Mulan. Here it is. Here's proof. Here's my Mulan promo. It's shiny. Okay? All 3 of my wins, day 1 of the event, my first DLC ever, were against Red Purple. Now, I've always hated Red Purple because I used to play Steel Song. That matchup was somewhat even. It was pretty play draw disparate. And so beating Ruby Amethyst always feels great for me. But at this DLC, I was not expecting it at all. And so game 1 of my first match, I actually got so caught off guard by this Ruby Amethyst deck, and I lost on the draw. And I was like so scared. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was able to make the adjustment and just make sure they didn't keep Mother Gothels on board so that they could just keep pinging my guys and killing me, because Blurple is not super resistant to that. I don't have any Calhouns or anything that could just stick on the board. So, yeah, I was able to take the first one down, and then I knew what was coming when I faced the next 2. I won 3 games against Red Purple in Milwaukee. This is a crazy thing I never thought I'd say, but it happened. So, yeah, there's that. My second round opponent was Blurple. I ended up going to time against him. There was a judge call. I accidentally knocked one of the cards of my discard into my inkwell. So we had to have a judge sort that out and make sure I didn't have extra ink. So we put it back into the discard. And I just want to say a huge thanks to my opponent for being patient and not trying to shark me and try to get me a game loss or anything. I just got a warning for the tournament. So I was really appreciative of that. But yeah, we did go to time, ended up drawing. And so I was 101. And then I got matched against Purple Steel and lost the die roll. Game 1, they went 1, 2, 3, 4 strength. Didn't really have a chance to claw my way back. Game 2, I went ramp, Genie, Elsa, took out their Singer. They never did anything for the rest of the game. And game 3, they went first and went 1, 2, 3, 4 strength. I was on 5 ink with 2 second star to the right in hand. And yeah, never had a shot. So I was like, man, play draw disparity here. I know this matchup is winnable on the draw, but like I felt way more justified watching the finals of the DLC. And this might be a critique of Lorcana or maybe the meta we're in general, or just that matchup maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not a professional analyst yet. But Frank and Carlos played 5 games. And out of those 5 games, whoever was on the play won the game. Okay, so I felt much better about my losing to Purple Steel with Blurple after watching the finals and seeing Frank Karsten lose on the play twice and seeing Carlos lose on the draw twice and Carlos lose on the draw 3 times. I mean, it's like whoever can go first and establish tempo usually is going to carry through the finish line before the other can recover. So yeah, I lost to Purple Steel. And then I lost to a Blurple player. I got 2-0'd on the draw, which felt horrible. Yeah, and my third loss was to the green-purple Cusco Brainiac deck, which is just nuts against Blurple. I mean, they're playing a bounce card every turn after you try to reestablish your character, and then Bend My Wills, just backbreaking. I lost 2-0 to it, not even close. Like, I don't even think I got a lore in that game, honestly. It was horrible. So yeah, my matchups were... honestly, like half of them were I was going to win no matter what, like against Ruby Amethyst. And then half of them were if you lose the die roll, you're probably going to lose like Purple Steel into the mirror and into Green Purple. I feel like I didn't really have a chance on Green Purple. But the one takeaway that I was sad about was losing 2-0 on the play to another Blurple player. I don't know if I didn't have TikToks, so I don't know if it was like my deck wasn't teched. I know that mirror is skill intensive, but I had to hard cast a few second stars, and I didn't feel like I was drawing my lines and playing my lines correctly. So I don't really know. It was probably mostly me. I didn't, grind the mirror to get ready for DLC Milwaukee or anything. I was more worried about picking a deck that was good into the other decks. So I guess that's something to note going forward. Practice your mirrors, folks. But I mean, my takeaway from the whole thing, I was really happy to see that while it is a very competitive environment, it does not feel like a cutthroat competitive environment. What I mean by that is everybody was really supportive of the other players. So there would be crowds around a game that's finishing if it's going late into the round or it's a game 3, right? And so people would be gathered around watching, and then, whoever wins, there's polite clapping and encouragement and cheering for both players. And I really appreciated not getting rule sharked once during the tournament. The only time a judge was called was when I called a judge on myself for accidentally putting a card in my inkwell to get that fixed. But yeah, I never had to call a judge and complain about a player. A player never called a judge on me to try to gain an advantage in the match. And so I was really relieved to know that, if I do want to compete in this game, I have the freedom to learn and grow as a player, make a mistake or two, and not be just hardcore punished and shamed for it. So I've really appreciated that aspect of Lorcana so far. It's been a really welcoming and encouraging community. And the DLC, I knew that was going to make or break my fears or opinions about the community, and I feel a lot of relief. So that was just my experience. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone else's, but I really enjoyed it. I also really enjoyed playing Infinity. Played red-blue, went 4-3, got another Mulan for just registering, and some tickets so I could buy that. Thought that was pretty cool. I missed out on DLC Season 1, so I was glad to get a Dragonfire promo. And where's my hat? Yeah, I got a hat. Nice. I'm not a huge fan. Honestly, I'll probably wear it backwards if I do wear it at all. So yeah, it is cool though, just to have it, because you know you can only get it there. I'm not gonna order one of these and buy one for secondhand from somebody. So I really enjoyed that. I like the prize wall aspect. Got a Pegasus for entering. So yeah, the promos I really enjoyed. I think they're just super cool. I'll probably keep them at least for a little bit. You know, just look at them, have some fun. Another really cool part of the DLC was getting to meet the people that I've looked up to and learned a lot from in the game going forward. To give thanks to people like that. Like I talked to Kawa for a second. I talked to Alvin Hernandez, Lore Gaines, and probably my favorite was getting to talk to Jeremy from Club Lorcana. He's just such a funny guy. Everybody was super nice. And yeah, just getting to say thanks and show recognition to people like that and for all they do for the game, I think is pretty cool. So yeah, overall, I had a really great experience at DLC Milwaukee. It was my first time, and I definitely will be doing everything I can to get back to one of these DLCs in the future. I think my strategy for side events going forward is going to change, because I just played in the one big 7-round Infinity tournament on Sunday. And I think next time I'll break it up into smaller side events, because I think you can actually win more tickets that way, or you at least have a higher chance of winning more tickets. And then also, you know, if you're playing more small side events, I feel like time between rounds and stuff, or in between events, you can go check out, you know, how the tournament's going, support your friends and stuff, rather than being in one long tournament all day long. Yeah, the only negatives I had from the event were the lines. I waited in line for about an hour to get my badge on day one, or Friday night, sorry. And then after the Infinity event was over, so my opponent no-showed in round 7. So the judge told me to just go ahead and put my win in after 10 minutes for round 7 into the play hub. And then they told me, go ahead and get in line for tickets. Yeah. So I get in the line to pick up my tickets, my prize tickets for side events for Sunday. I waited in line for over an hour, got to the front of the line, and the guy said, are any of you guys picking up tickets for just Infinity only? And I said, oh yeah, that's me, thinking that, you know, they're just going to make a small little queue for us so we can get our tickets and get out of there, since we only had one event. He tells me, actually, we're making a new line for just Infinity players. And by this time, the event had ended. And so he points me across the event center to a massive line of all 700 Infinity players that I then had to wait in line again to get my tickets, because apparently they weren't handing them out. And I was crushed. I was like, no, I just stood for over an hour. So I waited in that line for about 30-ish minutes. And then I have to wait in another line to get to the prize wall for about 30 minutes. So yeah, two and a half hours of just standing in line on Sunday night before, you know, everybody leaves the venue. Did not seem like it was efficiently structured. I feel like, I mean, everybody's going to wait till the last minute to get their prizes because they want to have as many tickets as possible. I understand that, but all of the lines and ticket payouts happening all at once, there's got to be a better way to do that. That was pretty nuts. As far as the main event itself, I feel like it was ran pretty well. There was only one hiccup. I think it was round 1 or 2 where we had to wait about 30-ish minutes after the round to get to the next one. But usually it was like 15 to 20, you know, so people could finish up and then pairings could happen. Play Hub worked pretty well. Not great, but pretty well. Each round, it would slow down right when the pairings were released. So everybody's trying to get on there and refresh at once, and so it slows down. It did crash once, but it was very temporary. And they would bring out paper pairings very quickly and post them in alphabetical order throughout the event center. You know, there was a little bit of a crowd, but it was easy. You just waited a second, found your name, where your table was. So that was really enjoyable, not having to wait too super long. But you also had time in between rounds if you wanted to go, like get food or get a drink or something, go to the bathroom. So I thought the tournament structure itself was decent. There was, you know, we ended up later both nights than everybody expected or than was scheduled. But it wasn't that bad in my opinion. It was a good experience overall. And yeah, I really enjoyed this DLC. I had a great time, won some cool stuff, got to meet some cool people, and I'll definitely remember this experience for a long time, and hopefully I'll be able to go to more. So thank you guys for watching and listening. If you cared, If you want to go to a DLC, I'd totally recommend it. I think they're just going to keep getting better and better, hopefully. So, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.